Hey friends, welcome back to Chitty Chats with Stacy. I'm really glad you're here. This is a space where we talk with all sorts of humans from all sorts of places because stories matter. And when we take the time to listen, there's always something to learn. So wherever you're coming from today, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
Hey friends, welcome back to Chitty Chats with Stacy. I'm so excited to have Andy Grant on today. Andy, you are doing some very important work with men and masculinity and all the things that are very dear to my heart. So before we get all into it, I want to have everybody know just a little bit about you. Share you. I know what I want to say about you, but I want you to say what you want to say about you.
Oh, that's always a challenge. Let's see. Yeah, I'm Andy Grant. You're correct there. And I'm an author, a coach, an energy worker, a podcast host. Let's see, I've hosted Real Men Feel, my podcast, for 10 years now.
Yeah.
And I help successful men feel successful. I often call it the success trap, guys that check all the boxes of success and achievement, but inside they feel empty and hollow because I was that hollow, empty guy. Everything I do with clients, with listeners, with everybody I meet are tools and techniques that I learned to truly save my life. I grew up battling depression, suicidal thoughts, survived multiple attempts, and that's really what fuels everything I do to attempt to be of service today.
I love that. And there's so many reasons I wanted to have this conversation with you, but there are very few people that I've crossed paths with in my life that can truly have a conversation about the disconnect between success and internally that really leads down that road of suicidal ideation, suicidal attempts. It's such a heavy topic. And you're one of them. You're one of the people who can handle that heaviness. And I know you've made it your life's mission to really close the gap. And so let's talk about that piece where there's this disconnect and this void that's inside. How do people even begin to notice that?
The biggest tell I find is that feeling of numbness, of other people perhaps saying, "What a great job you did," or "Look at everything," and you're like, "Yeah." But privately, alone, you're like, "So what? What does it mean?" And for me, and for a lot of guys, it's doing things because society, family, pop culture says that's what a man should do. But if it's not doing things that mean anything to you, that bring any depth to you, then it's just performative. It's just going through the motions. And
Yeah.
so many guys I meet at all ages, like the midlife crisis can happen in any decade of life. But there are so many guys that just, I don't even know who I am.
Mm,
And and what's for me, it's quite possible for many of them that they never knew who they were. But
mhm.
as the years go by, as perhaps you're thinking you're witnessing your mortality, or there's been a health scare, or the end of a relationship, usually something kicks off a period of deeper introspection. Because guys, especially high achieving guys, successful guys, it's just do, 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 never time to exhale, never,
Yeah.
never time to feel.
Yeah. I often tell people we're human beings, not human doings. And so that idea of being with yourself can sometimes be so overwhelming when there's that void and their gap there. How many conversations are you having with men about these things?
Oh, Lord, I've never tried to count that.
Yeah.
The Real Men Feel podcast alone is at episode 400.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how many hundreds of guys I've talked to. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
For me, when I start to talk, I'm madly in love with men, Andy. And I find that there's this cultural piece where we're really hating on men in a big way as a society. And I want to steer away from that and really get back to I want men to fall in love with themselves and want to be in love with their life. And I get very worried about that societal piece of women are over functioning and women this and women that without acknowledging that men need support and love and connection, not just attention, but connection to explore these things. And when I speak to men, it's often very private. I'm in the Western states with high rates of suicide, high rates of gun use and gun availability. And men often think they're the only people on the planet. They're the only one that are experience this. And I think you and I both know this is like a universal. There are thousands of men who are going through this.
Yeah. One of the biggest and easiest things for a man to do is to find other men. A men's group, a church group, an online group, the Mankind Project, the Good Men Project. I have a community called Authentic AF. There is a poet, I think it's the author of Iron John, a poet. I think he said that there's a certain song that male cells sing. So men need to be around other men, not saying suck it up, man up, not that nonsense, but in men's groups, I see the competitive nature of men kick off in such a positive way when one man opens up and shares what he's going through. And slowly other guys, wow, me too. Or I lived through that last year. Or that's one of the things I'm afraid of, right?
Yeah.
Men want to provide, to protect, to support, but they won't do it for themselves unless they're really invited into the quote unquote safe space. Because I find one of the biggest fears in men is being rejected, having the tribe of other men turn on you, right? To be
Yeah.
seen as less than.
Yeah.
And that
And
keeps
so-
guys quiet.
Yeah. So where does vulnerability fall into that? Like men struggle with being vulnerable in case they're going to be rejected. And so when one opens up, they are like modeling. Is that sort of how you see it? And they're giving
Yeah.
permission to everyone else
Yeah.
to also
I
start
have
that?
never, like, I once led a spiritual support group where men got to share like the most woo-woo crazy things they never could. And a guy shared about how someone else's soul came into his daughter's body. And it took years to figure out that was going. And another guy goes, that happened to me. I was in the hospital and I felt some other being come into me because I was, I had died on the table and I came back and there was someone else trying to live in my body. I'm like, and they were both, it took bravery for them to each admit it. And then that they had
Yeah.
found someone in person that been through a similar situation. That was the most, rare, craziest, most out there experience I've had with people. And then that two guys that had that experience too just was astounding.
Sure.
There's nothing that any of us can go through that someone else isn't also going through, that perhaps millions of people haven't already gone through, and there is a way through it.
Say more about that, the way through it, because that, to me, I'm from the culture of get over it. And I'm a therapist, you know this. I've always said, you don't get over it, you get through it. But what's the way through? What's your advice for men? What are your tangible skills of getting through something?
Yeah. Be willing to be wrong. So many
Ooh.
men would rather be right than be happy. And sometimes in life you could be right and happy. But when I believed that being right was more important, I was usually miserable. And too many guys, again, they don't want to be seen as weak, as less than. There's a vulnerability, there's a risk. But when a guy can be honest with himself, raise that integrity, I'm afraid to be vulnerable because I'm afraid. Fear is driving the show.
Yeah.
But if I often say that the bravest thing you can do is ask for help. Again, and that you can't get help, you can't receive help, you can't ask for help unless you're willing to be wrong.
Right.
I grew up thinking that life sucks, then you die. And when I finally got over that, I was like, yay, thank God. They're like, no, life is meant to be magnificent.
Yeah.
I want joy to be synonymous with masculinity,
Yeah.
not stoicism, not shutting it down, not denying yourself. But the simplest way through things is really by leaning into it. Be willing to feel, be willing to be wrong, be willing to try things. I multiple suicide attempts. I followed the traditional medical model. It did not work for me. And I thought that meant I was hopeless. But
Sure.
there are so many opportunities. There's so many other things to explore. This is this magical globe, this magical rock we're on spinning through space. There's so many opportunities, especially now. Any new solution is in such close reach, but you've got to be willing to reach for it, to
Love that.
realize that you're worth feeling better, right?
Yeah.
Nobody is here by accident. And I used to believe I was just this meat suit and it was brain chemistry that was all my problems and solutions. No, we're way more than that.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm hearing you say is that part of living life is also having a full range of emotion. So it's not just the middle lane of numbness, but it's joy and working through tough feelings and getting through all of that. So on the other side of it, you have this sort of peace, contentment, joy piece where you can really enjoy your life and not just check the boxes.
Yeah. If we put a limit on our emotional range, on the negative side or the positive side, it tightens the whole range.
Sure.
I've often heard that, guys are allowed to be angry, horny, and hungry. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And there's so much, life is rich. You know, I'm not encouraging everyone to have a bipolar experience, but life is a roller coaster. There will always
Sure.
be ups and downs.
Yeah.
And for me, once I could, be comfortable in my own skin, once I could love myself, my highs were higher than prior highs, and my lows were higher than prior highs.
Yeah.
So that roller coaster can have an overall upward trajectory,
Love
right? We're
that.
always going to have ups and downs.
Love that. So a couple things you said. I am very much in the world of veterans and PTSD and things never get better. And I've been trained in the medical model, and you and I both know it has its perks, but there are a lot of cons, and that not everybody gets better. We're really treating a lot of symptoms. And so many of my people are exploring psychedelic treatment, ketamine treatment, alternate treatments. And so I want to talk a little bit about what sort of experiences you have. What are some recommendations if people want to figure out other optional treatments that are not connected to that medical model? What do you suggest?
The best things that I have found are from the modern mystery school. It's a lineage, it's hermetic lineage. The healings, the traditions go back over 3,000 years. And I have tried lots of different things. I only recommend what I felt worked for me. And my
Sure.
path has brought me to that. But it's energy work. It's truly bringing in more light into our
Yeah.
physical body. It's lighting up our spiritual DNA as well as our physical DNA. But I've done psychedelics, I've done ayahuasca, I spent time with Scientology. Like once I decided I want to live, I was willing to try anything to
Everything.
help me live better.
Yeah. So if people want to find this information out, where do they find that? My people are not going to have it. Do they just Google modern school, Andy Grant? Like, how do they truly give me a play by play of how people find this kind of information?
Yeah. So it's the Modern Mystery School. If you search for that, you'll find them. It's an international organization. Whew. So I was always into energy work, and I became a coach back in 2010. And I met someone that said, "Oh, you're going to meet my friend. She does this thing called life activation." Like, great. I like trying new things. So I did a life activation. Didn't know what it meant, but I was compelled. I did a before and after video for the first time in my life.
Oh,
And
wow.
5 minutes into this thing, still remember thinking so clearly, I don't know what she's doing, but I know I'm going to learn how to do this.
Yeah.
And that was my first experience with the Modern Mystery School. I didn't know. I had heard of mystery schools, like growing up, like on In Search of or something like that. So there were 7 ancient mystery schools. This is one of them, and it opened to the public in the 90s because
Okay.
people were ready. So I've since learned to be a life activation practitioner and many other modalities. I'm a certified teacher, healer, and ritual master with the school. I've been involved with the school for 10 years now, but there are people all around the planet offering life activation and more. But it begins with life activation.
Love that. This is great. Thank you. So my next part of my question is, how do women support men? I know I have to ask that question. I feel like it's my duty to ask that question.
I hear from a number of guys that women say they want them to feel and open up. And then when they do, there's a backlash.
100%. See
Yeah.
that in all the couples work that I do. I support you in this. Okay, carry on.
So, yeah, don't ask for something you're not sure you can receive and handle,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because and if you're dealing with a guy that has never opened up, it can be messy at the start.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean you're going to have this. I recommend men to feel. That doesn't mean I recommend you walking around sobbing every day. But
Sure.
you might have times like that. If you've got a whole history of trauma that's never been addressed, you pop that balloon, it all comes out fast. So
Yeah.
encourage women to, if they want to support their men, if they want guys to feel and be healing, be prepared for the mess. It doesn't mean they'll always be that way, but yeah, and this goes for anybody. Don't promise something you can't deliver on. But you want to
Sure.
hold that space, be as free as judgment as possible. Know that as someone finally lets go of everything they've been holding on to, you'll be seeing different aspects and sides of the guy in your life. And
Mm.
none of those are permanent. They've been in hiding. As they see the light, as they get expressed, they will change. It won't be that bad for years and years.
This is a question I get in a lot of couples counseling, so I'm curious what your take is. Do women need to fix men's feelings?
no, and I don't know how they could.
Right.
So it's that none of us can own the feelings, the reactions of others. All people need to realize that they are in control of how they think and feel. All
Right.
this notion of you made me feel this, you made me feel that, like, no, like actions have consequences, but people have choice. One of the biggest things growing up, I was labeled bipolar at like age 13 just because I had a family history of it. And I just thought this is just crazy. Yeah. We are responsible for our feelings and emotions. I was taught growing up that, again, brain chemistry was the root of everything. But
Mm.
thoughts, feelings, and actions, that's what makes up our life. And when
Sure.
they are in alignment, you can have a really fantastic life. But I was often afraid of taking ownership because I thought responsibility meant blame. But until we take ownership, until I'm willing to be responsible for how I feel, I
Mm.
can't change anything. If human beings were truly, if our emotional well-being and ups and downs were truly controlled by everybody else, we wouldn't be human beings. We wouldn't have free will.
Right.
We'd have
Right.
no sovereignty over our existence.
True. No agency.
But it's easier to give up that power than to live in alignment, to focus on your own integrity, to do the healing.
Yeah. To that point, many of the men I love and adore and work with, when they do start to open the door of feeling, those suicidal thoughts come with it. It
Yeah.
feels so heavy. It's so weighted. And what I tell people often is a feeling of suicidal is very different than a plan of suicide.
Correct. That was good. Yeah.
Right.
Thoughts are all too common.
Yes.
I've only met a couple people that claim to have lived their life without ever having a suicidal thought.
Yeah. I think
And
say that one more time. I think that's really important because there's so much stigma around just the thought. I've had suicidal thoughts. I'm a therapist with the 25 years of experience, and I've still had suicidal thoughts. So I think it's important to normalize that happens.
it is normal. It's a thought. And any of our thoughts, any of our attempted solutions, it's our best idea at the time.
Sure.
Now, in a time of pain and trauma, and you feel like, hopeless and helpless, and there's no solution, there's no light at the tunnel is closing in on me. It's always a possibility. Well, I could just end my life then, right?
Yeah.
And then the thought is fine. When it becomes a plan, when it becomes a course of action, that's now you're crossing the red line. Now it's really dangerous. But,
Sure.
and often at first, I realized I felt better after a suicide attempt. Eventually, thank God, I realized, no, it was actually just talking about it, not keeping it to myself was also the release, the venting, right?
Mm.
So I've called suicide support lines. I've told friends, and in high school, my big fear was if people knew how dark my thoughts were, they would all run. So oftentimes, the most supportive thing you can do is just to listen to someone. Just go, I hear you.
Yeah.
And you don't need to solve it. You can't
No.
own it. Just don't run away.
Don't be scared of it.
Yeah.
Don't
You
be
don't
scared of it and retreat. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't need to fix somebody else, and I don't believe you can fix somebody else.
Yeah.
All healing is self-healing. And
that.
therapists or energy work, all that, everybody's just assisting the client in healing themselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I always say there's this illusion that even as a therapist, you have control. We don't have control over anyone but ourselves. That's
Right.
And I think the longer you're in the business of helping people heal, you know that. Like it's on them to heal. We're just guiding that
Yeah.
piece. Love that.
But our nature, momentum, even the momentum of apathy has a weight, has some heft to it. So again, that's why to make changes, it takes new conscious effort to make a change, to think better of yourself, to be willing to feel everything that you've been burying for years.
Love that. Talk to me a little bit about the dance between femininity and masculinity in your view.
Like they say, it's a dance. Because, nobody is all feminine. Nobody is all masculine. And when people attempt to be either of those, it's a distorted mess.
Yeah.
But masculine and feminine energy is in everything. It's the art of creation, and we are creative beings.
Yeah.
So it takes both, but it's a dance. And it's not a static dance. It's a very dynamic dance. Sometimes it
Absolutely.
can slow, sometimes it can speed up. But the more fluidity of emotion, of thought, of willingness to step into different roles, different archetypes, different energies, the more full of a life we all can lead.
To me, the more I sit with men, the more I feel myself recognizing how political feminism and masculinity, I say those words intentionally, are pitted against each other. And I just think people like you and I are really starting to pull the smoke screen back and say, wait a minute, they're all a piece of us.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
No, you're right on. And the biggest and easiest way to make a movement, political, social, whatever, is to have an other. And
Mhm.
everything I don't like is their fault. It's
Sure.
women's fault. It's immigrants' faults. Like whatever it is, again, it's easier to lay the blame than take responsibility.
Yeah.
But men and women, masculinity and femininity, one is not more important than the other. One truly cannot exist without the other. We are
Right.
all in this together. You began the show. We're human beings, right?
Yeah.
Before men and women, human, right? There's a unity. There's a divinity that too often gets ignored. But yeah, it's easy. And I see this so many times for guys that they'll feel hurt or betrayed by a woman and they blame all women. And I see that go both ways too.
Of
But
course.
yeah, and again, that's where, again, the willingness to be wrong.
Yeah.
Had one bad experience. It doesn't mean every type of that experience, every type of that person you engage with is wrong or bad or will always be that way.
Yeah.
If we lived our lives that way from day one, nobody would know how to walk. I just walk, oh, I fell down. Now it's not worth it. I'm not going to bother. All those adults, they're keeping me small.
Yeah. No.
I'll be
no.
crawling around still.
I love that. So give me 2 or 3 tangible tips if people are listening to this and they're thinking, I want to not be numb anymore. I want to start feeling, or I am starting to feel and it's a disaster. What are some things? Being part of our body, getting back into our body, that's a huge piece, right?
Oh,
But what
yeah,
are 2 or
yeah.
3 tips that you share with people that just
So
say,
start there. Yeah, movement is always better.
"Mm, what
And
kind of movement, Andy?
you
do you have
froze. Did I
specific-
lose you?
Oh, I have you. Are you there?
I hear you again now.
Okay, now here we
froze.
are. You froze
right.
too. That was weird. Okay, movement. So tell me, like, what kind of movement do you recommend?
Yeah, all movement is good, even just a simple walk. But again, especially when we're talking about the motivation, the heaviness of apathy, of depression, of sadness, you can move through that. All right. So one of my secret weapons is skipping.
Ah,
When I was,
we talk about skipping so much. Please say more.
oh, great. Yeah. When I'm sad, when I'm even just feeling a little down, not sure, I will skip to my mailbox. And I can't skip and feel bad. Another great tip is just a rebounder. Like that moment of the peak of a fall, the peak of that rise before you come back down, and moment of weightlessness. There's a joy in that. Right? It's like a kid's being on a swing, the height of the swing, that arc. Oh, and I can't stay in a bad mood. So physical movement begets energetic movement and emotional movement. Right? Wherever emotions are energy in motion, everything's meant to flow. When we label it, when we say we resist it, we deny it, we keep things stuck. And that's when we go off course. But in addition to simple movement, one of my favorite things to recommend is journaling. Now, I had therapists tell me to journal for decades. And I thought, ridiculous, that this is the My Little Princess Diary. This is something little 10-year-old girls do. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Then I finally was tired, so sick and tired of feeling bad. I'm willing to try new things, willing to be wrong. And journaling is one of the most powerful things because it lets you witness your own thoughts and emotions. So it lets you separate.
Yeah.
And I've been doing a gratitude journal and regular journaling, 22 years, I think.
Wow. Do you physically write? Do you
Yes.
type?
No.
Okay.
So yeah, there's something primal, more organic, more real, longhand, pen to paper. To get started, if you're resistant to that, you want to talk it into your phone. But the worst place for our thoughts is only in our head.
100%.
Express it verbally, express it in writing, but simple journaling, and I call it vent booking. When the journal, I hate, like, you just put out all your bile and destroy that. Like I wouldn't make a nice leather bound volume of everything I despise and hate in my life. But it sometimes can be important to, if you think being positive is a scam, then be negative.
I
right?
love it.
Give that
Yeah.
somewhere to go.
Yeah.
Rumination is the worst possible place. And
Mm,
again, for people, my first book was about positive affirmations because I was shocked that I got a benefit from them. But we're all lying to ourselves all the time. So might as well take consciousness and put a positive spin on that and lie about things you would like to happen, things you would like to see in your life.
great.
Instead of, because my biggest voice for longest time was that critic.
Yeah.
You suck, you can't do it wrong, just give up, it's no use. And
Yeah.
once you realize, journaling helps me realize all the lies that happen in my own thoughts, then I can choose to turn them in. If I'm lying to myself, I might as well make better lies, more
Love that.
positive, fun lies.
Vent booking. Love it. That's good. So movement, journaling, anything else that you would
Oh, there's
add to
lots.
that?
So
Oh,
yeah,
there's so much. I know
I talk
you
to
have so
affirmations.
many
So
tools.
one other, and why I love journaling and affirmations, there's no barrier to entry. You can have not a two nickels to rub together and do these things. But one aspect of affirmations that I really like is mirror work. It's
Mhm.
just look at your own face in the mirror. Try to hold your own gaze. Look at yourself in your eyes. I couldn't do that when I started. And then when you can hold your gaze, say, Andy, use your name. I love you. And your ability or inability to do that really tells you where your most beneficial work might be.
So powerful.
And I find positive affirmations, they should feel a little challenging. If you can just rifle through 50 positive great things about you, then they're not challenging enough. So the ones I couldn't even say, like, again, look at myself, say, I love you. Well,
Mhm.
your life is great. Like, no, there's a good Lord. And all right, the more I say that, the more tears come out of that, the more journaling is opened up from that, right? So positive affirmations, they don't necessarily have to feel good, but to do the work, right?
Yeah. Love that. Movement, journaling, positive affirmations. You mentioned gratitude. Now, my best friend and I have had a gratitude practice where we text each other 3 things we're grateful for every night. We've done this for years.
Yeah.
And I'm amazed at how much it just shifts in me. What has your experience with gratitude?
Oh, yeah. Again, resisted it for a long time, thought it was silly. Then I had to go, all right, fine, I'll write down 3 things I'm grateful for. And then it became 5, and then it became 10 really quickly. And then I'm looking, what can I write today? And so
Yeah.
again, it changes that reticular activation system. We're looking for the good so that we can share it with our friends, so we can write it down. We're consciously focusing on a better aspect of life than we had been. That's the
Love it.
power of gratitude.
Absolutely. Love that so much. Andy, I have 2 more questions for you. Question number 1, where can people find you?
All things me can be found online at theandygrant.com.
Okay.
There's links to the podcast, Real Men Feel, my Authentic AF group, number of books I've written, affirmations. Another thing I love is holotropic breath work. I've
Oh,
shared all my
yes.
experience around that as well. So that's the best spot, theandygrant.com.
I love that. And I just want to give a shout out to your podcast. I've listened to so many episodes. You had one of my other guests, Morgan Oakes, you had on. Morgan's one of my dear friends. And it's such a great, diverse group of people that you're chatting with. I think that's so important, especially for the men I know will listen to my podcast. You have so many people on there. It's not just one type of person. And that's what makes it so rich. And it's award winning. It's such a greatly done podcast. So I love that. My last question for you, how do you regulate? How do you emotionally regulate yourself?
I have multiple daily practices of journaling, of meditation, of gratitude, of movement, of creative expression. Again, the worst place to keep everything is inside us.
Yeah.
We are creative beings, and your creative expression can come from paving road, carpentry, gardening, writing, singing, but express something.
Love that.
And I have daily practices of all those things. I meditate, I do rituals, I journal, all before I take on any of the tasks of the day.
So it's at the beginning of the day
Yeah.
to set your mindset up, set your physical life up before you even start your day.
Yep. And actually, so my dog wakes me each morning, and we go for a walk. So before I can even think, I'm outside moving with the dog, and I'll start saying affirmations to myself. I'll start saying, well, what a great day. And I'll start I truly consciously connect with the light and invite more in. And I will walk around and I love that man, love that house, love that car, love that tree. And
Yeah.
and again, that what can feel like a grind, oh, I gotta take my dog out, oh no, it's raining, or whatever it is. bring joy, bring gratitude into everything, especially at the start of the day, and
Yeah.
can only expand.
Love that. Anything else you want to share with my listeners that are now our listeners?
That our listeners. Yeah. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is ask for help. There's nothing that you might need to ask for help about that help doesn't exist.
Mm.
So I said, be willing to be wrong. Please be willing to take up one of the things shared today, be it movement, be it journaling, being affirmations. But you are worth sticking around. Like you
I love
matter.
that.
Yeah.
And find some other men to talk to, right?
Yeah, there is
That
a
is,
power.
uh,
Community of all types has a great healing power, but especially men. And it doesn't mean if your men's group is sitting at the bar drinking, watching the basketball games and not talking to each other, that's not really what I'm talking about.
you're talking about circling up, get connected, look each other in the eyeballs, hear what the other person has to say, be vulnerable, even though it might feel scary,
Yep.
be
The
willing to
best
be
things in
wrong.
life feel scary at first.
They're the most worth doing, right? Yeah. I appreciate you so much, Andy. I appreciate all the work you're doing and the lives you're saving. Honestly, your work is suicide prevention. And I don't think that people say that enough. The work you're doing is suicide prevention. So thank you for saving lives. I appreciate you greatly.
Thanks so much. It was a pleasure to be here.